how you can. I know people have taken OT3 out of the internet and try to get people through it. And they flubby-dub the way through, and they wind up on my plate. Find somebody who's done it. Find somebody who really knows how to do it if you're going to do it. Otherwise, you just, what do you call it, a dilettante? You're just fooling yourself. You won't be in business long because you'll create overts. Try to get internships under others. Everything I got trained, after I left the church in 1990, I went and found somebody who did that particular rundown, who was already classified, like Class 7, who knew how to do power processing. I found her up in Northern California. See? Someone who did not, who were trained under the LRH orgs. I had them train me, paid them good money, I think $6,000 or something like that. Get what you pay for. I found the guy who was on the head CS and trainer on the flagship on OT8. Paid him $6,000 in 2-3 weeks of training. What does this do? This you operate from a viewpoint of confidence, which transfers when you got that PC coming in. You know what you've done. You know what you can do. Also, the main thing is that you have to achieve that level yourself. It takes clear to clear somebody. If you have not achieved that level, your counterintention is going to transfer over to the PC, and you're not going to get him through. Does that seem real? That datum's in the Clearing Course Congress. Then I would suggest you get legal, because that's to stop you from, you wind up auditing out of the closet. To audit in, or to do this, the psychiatrist, and I talked to psychiatrists because they did consult, and we were renting a room to a psychologist out of our office building. And I said to her, and I said, she would do the examination. She was the examination board person. And I said, what I'm doing, is that illegal? She goes, no, you're doing, because I told her what I was doing, past life regressions, et cetera, et cetera. She says, no, you're doing metaphysical things. We don't care what you do. Government doesn't care what you do. So I researched it further. In Nevada, like in California, you do have to have a minister or a master's in counseling, the counsel, to be legal. Then I researched it a little further, and I found that if you became a hypnotherapist, you could not only get insurance for what you're doing, you could also counsel people on metaphysical level. And that's what we're doing. You follow? So you got to get legal, because you're going to it's going to hold you back. And also, those who don't want you to audit will blow the whistle on you. Believe me, I've been investigated up and down by the Church of Scientology, and haven't found anything to get me on. Because we touched upon all these things. The next thing is get your own life together. Be a good example. If you're living out of your car, how are you going to counsel anybody?
Isn't that have auditor will travel?
Yeah, have auditor will travel. You better have a good base, and you better have a nice car. What's that datum? The people know you by your mess. The icon of a counselor is professionalism, tie, little sweater. See? Or the proper clothes for the convention. The next thing is, if you have an office, get it outside your house. Even if it's in your backyard, get it away from your home. I'm just giving you successful tips. Okay? I tell you, there was an old timer who was trained by Hubbard once told me, Ray, if you can audit, and I was 24 years old at the time. I became a class 4. I was 24 on OT4. And he said, if you can audit, you'll never starve. You can have all the things, the American dream, if you audit. But you're not going to get super rich. I'll give you a wrong idea. Anybody in the humanities makes an average pay, maybe a little higher, if you're good. Humanities mean teacher, nurse, counselor. That's the humanities. That's doing things for humanity. Not for yourself, but for the good of the most people. And so you're going to do well, and you should. It's really hard to get money out of people. Amazing, They pay. You pay your plumber without a blink of an eye $150 an hour. Give your poor auditor $50 maybe. Give me a break. We're dealing with eternal life here, It's not okay. But that's the kind of like the way it is in this country. You go to another country, it's a little different. That's all right. If I stir things up some more. This was in a mission advice letter. Now this is done by stats, not by some Hubbard's opinion. But I learned after 30 years that this is totally right. That husband and wife teams don't make it.
Really? Wow.
It's very rough.
Wow.
It's very rough. Leslie and I are probably one of the exceptions, because she works with me.
Each other or just working with
Session each other or working together.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you why.
They don't make it anyhow.
Yeah, a friend of mine says, if I want to fight, I'll get married. Sometimes like that. If you got 2D bank, it's going to happen. If both of you have a lot of case. Well, one of the reasons is that they take the hat. They don't leave the hat at work, and they take their problems home, and they take it right to bed.
Right. It's true.
See? How are you going to have any intimacy if someone's still worried about so-and-so refunding?
Right.
We don't worry about that. I never had 36 years. I never refunded anybody. And that's more than any org, flag, or anyone else could say. I think that's darn good. And I'll tell you how that got that stat. You just keep auditing them until they're happy, and you deliver what's promised. I think I heard those things before, right? It's hard for them to take their hats off, and sometimes they got too much issues, and they bring the issues into the. I've seen it not only at admissions or at counselors in the field, but I've also seen it people who have a business uptown. So I don't advise that. We'll go on. So say you get trained. Say you get trained and you're real comfortable and you real have confidence in what you're doing. If it's Dianetic auditing or whatever. The way to start, if you haven't done an internship under the guy who trained you, try to do one. And I'm not talking about the Church Scientology internships, by the way. Don't do them. Apprenticeship. Yeah, it is a better word, actually. You work under somebody until you got it, until you mastered it. Okay, so say you're there at that point, audit friends and relatives, get them going. Please do this for the rest of us auditors in the field. Don't charge $10. You're doing a big misfavor to all of us doing do that. You're lessening the status of the tech. $10, come on, you could buy a hamburger maybe. And how are you practitioners out here going to make a living if somebody's offering $10 an hour? Well, I'll just go to so-and-so. It's cheaper for him to fly 3,000 miles and go to so-and-so if he's offering it for $10 an hour. See, it's killing. It's hurting your own peer group. Charge enough. Charge at least $100 an hour. $100 are like $20 these days. You ever notice that? You plot $100 down, it's gone. It's like a $20 bill. It was 20 years ago. It's not much. You got psychologists are charging $150 an hour. Your stuff is worth more than that. Auditors are the most valuable beings on the planet. You're devaluating yourself if you audit for less. And you know something? I I remember a tape that Hubbard was saying, I don't believe I got to charge for this. Well, and he explains why. You have to charge for it because of the value of it. So the guy's going to work harder. If you pay me $10,000 an hour, boy, you're going to work every second to get your money's worth, aren't you? And you say, no refunds. In my center, there's no refunds, by the way. Maybe that's why I never gave a refund. Yeah, I'm not the org. Do you think I got free slave labor like the orgs do? No. I'm not a slave. We don't have slaves. We have volunteers. That's great.